know it's your
Happy
birthday?
birthday, Ziki.
Happy birthday! Yay! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you guys Ezekiel's birth story. And at the time Daniel was in Afghanistan and we just wanted to go over some things. I wanted to get my perspective and his perspective kind of at the same time, like what was going on here at home and what was going on with him. As you guys know from watching my previous videos, I was pregnant for the first half of the deployment. So I started having contractions on June 18th, and I remember that night I texted Daniel letting him know that I was feeling some contractions, but I wasn't sure if it was real labor or not. So that night I went to sleep and I was able to get a few hours of sleep in until about 5 in the morning. My contractions started getting stronger and I wasn't able to sleep anymore. So what was going on with you? I remember, like, I told you to be on standby, but what was going on?
Right. So when I got your text, I was in the COC. And the COC, in our particular COC, it was really just camera monitoring. And by this time in the deployment, we relaxed enough that I could just carry a handheld on my hip and kind of go anywhere as long as I'm in good response time of the COC. It was the Georgians that I was training. It was up to them to handle it. So, that being said, I stepped out because you're not allowed to have a phone there. Did he? Dada.
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 Hi, Dada. Oh, you sneaky. Oh, that was
Got it on camera?
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm in the COC. I get her text. Was that in the evening?
For me, yeah.
For you, it was in the evening, so it would have been in the morning for me.
It was like 10 o'clock for me. So whatever 14 hours later is for you.
Yeah, so it was in the morning for me. Yeah, and I got it, and I remember being excited. I tell all the buds, in my room, I'm like, guys, what's happening? So, and they're all cool, of course. So they're, hey, let me take your shift. I'll take your shift to the COC. You just let me know how it goes. Tell us what you need. So
That's pretty nice.
yeah.
I remember I woke up 5 in the morning and I was like, okay, I can't sleep, but I also don't want to, I don't know, like tell everybody yet because people were sleeping at home. My mother-in-law flew from Florida to help me with the kids and to be with me during the birth and everything. And I didn't want to tell anybody yet, but I let you know. And by then, it would have probably been afternoon for you. But I remember sitting down and doing my homework. I was like doing medication cards and doing my homework, trying to keep my mind off of it until like 8 in the morning. My contractions were getting really, really strong. I want to say they were like 2 minutes apart. But I also know I have really long labors, so I did not want to go to the hospital yet. And I remember you were like, please go to the hospital, but I just did not want to go yet.
I've had to do that with her every pregnancy. I'd say the first one was the most stressful. Because at least by the third one, I was like, I know I'm going to tell her and she's not going to do it. But I got my mom
labors
there,
are long.
so my mom, I trust my mom with anything. So I was like, she'll talk the crazy out of her if she needs to. But the first one with Luna, I was like, you psycho, we need to go now.
Later on, it was like 11 a.m. and I still had not gone to the hospital. And we started video chatting through WhatsApp, and you were like, please call your midwife and ask her if you should go in. Please just ask her. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll call the midwife just so I can like make you stop bugging me. I remember being like, okay, fine, she's probably gonna tell me not to come into the hospital yet and just stay home and your labor's not that far along yet. But I called her and she's asked me a few questions and she's like, okay, you should come in. You should definitely come in because
Story of our marriage. Don't believe me first. Why would you do that? Go to as many outside resources and acquaintances as you can. You know, the more distant the friend, if that's what they're even considered, the better and more trustworthy the word. So.
Well, she told me to go in because she wanted me to have enough time to get settled in, and because I'd had a previous C-section and a VBAC, so she wanted to make sure that everything was okay. But around noon, me and your mom finally left, and I remember by then my contractions were pretty strong to the point that they were just getting unbearable. Oh, is he falling asleep?
He's getting there.
Oh, baby. And I remember getting to the hospital and like trying to figure out Wi-Fi to talk to you, and it was the one time that you had really good Wi-Fi. Probably the only time.
So I had really good Wi-Fi that time because we had one dude who was spending the stupid amount of money it costs to get a legitimate good Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, so thank you.
Monty. And I was like,
Thanks, Monty.
You mind if I just bum off your stuff? And he was like, oh, yeah. And he jumped off of his Wi-Fi, so it'd be like full power Wi-Fi for just me on it. So I was like,
nice.
alright, we'll set up. Yeah.
So I remember they came in, they did my epidural, and it only worked on one side, just like with Luna. Eventually they had to come in and do it again, but this time you didn't really get to watch them do the epidural. And I think that's one thing you probably, I don't know, feel like you missed out on?
No. No, I don't really feel like I missed out that much. I feel concerned just because her first epidural was like, I don't know, it went to hell. So no, I don't feel like I missed out on the epidural experience. Just because, I don't know, we learned with Lyssa to half expect everything to go wrong.
So I remember your mom was with me, and we had just gotten there, and everything seemed okay after they figured out my epidural. And then the nurse checked me, and I don't know if you remember, but she said that there was blood in the amniotic fluid, which meant that my C-section scar from my previous pregnancy was probably rupturing. Do you remember that?
I remember hearing that. I don't remember if it was like in the moment or if it was after that you had told me, but I remember at some point knowing that. So from my end, it was intense but distant, and I think I kind of involuntarily made it distant. You know, like I didn't want to be present in all my full emotion over camera, because that's just like, that would suck, you know, to fully like emotionally grasp that I'm not there but I'm watching it. And then afterwards, like first photos I'm seeing of him were him with like all of these cords hooked up to him. And then hearing about these problems and him being rushed here and rushed there, I was like, oh man, it's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
I was pretty upset.
Yeah, so that happened with the amniotic fluid being a little bit bloody, and then you were watching everything when they had me push, and everything was fine by then. They're like, okay, let's start pushing, and okay, take a break, push, take a break. Then all of a sudden, his heart rate shot up. I want to say it was like in the high 200s or 300s. I remember the nurses' faces just being like, okay, we need to hurry. You know, like this is serious. And they're like, okay, no more breaks. Now you just have to push. And they put the oxygen mask on me. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah, I do. I remember seeing an oxygen mask. I pooped too much.
Oh, the little dip. At the time, thankfully, I hadn't had mother and baby, my mother and baby semester yet, so I'm really thankful for that, because I didn't know what was going on.
Talking about nursing school?
Yeah. So yeah, they had me just push, no breaks. They put an oxygen mask on me, and within like 10 minutes, he came out, and he was good. Everything was fine. His heart rate went back down. Were you pretty nervous seeing everybody run into the room?
Yeah. Yeah, I was. I remember watching the video. I was in my rack, my little blanket room. Yeah, and I remember sitting there on my rack with my headphones in and seeing a bunch of people start rushing in. And having been there for the first two pregnancies, I was like, this isn't normal. This is weird. This is like, wait, I wasn't getting really any communication as to like what was happening, and there was too much like noise going on for me to really distinguish the talk that was amongst the doctors. And I remember seeing that many bodies in the room. It was like, that's not normal. This is weird. And it just felt like the chaos from it. Yeah, it got me pretty nervous.
Were you by yourself?
I mean, yeah. Like, there were the dudes in the room. You know, there were like 3 or 4 other guys around me sleeping.
Oh, okay.
My team.
So they were just sleeping.
I just went outside, started pacing. And then it was the next day or 2 that he was in there. It was like days, wasn't it?
Yeah, so after that, he was born and everything turned out to be okay. And they checked his heart right after he was born and there was nothing. And then 2 days later, when we should have been discharged from the hospital, the nurse that came in to discharge us took, her last listen to his heart, and it was super fast. And it was so fast that she couldn't count how many heartbeats per minute he had. So she listened again, listened to his heart with a different stethoscope. She called another nurse to listen, and then they're like, okay, we need to call NICU right now. And within 5 minutes, we were downstairs in the NICU. The whole experience after that, watching him have all these things being done to him and stuff, and it was just really scary. It's kind of hard for me to talk about that, and I don't feel like I really want to talk about it because I don't want to cry. And I remember I was like, man, I do not want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to make you sad and worried, and I don't know. It made me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it did just that. I remember seeing the pictures of him all hooked up. I mean, it made me nervous. It scared me. It scared me more than anything out there did, because that's personal,
Yeah.
This is my baby. So it made me pretty scared. But it just came out as anger over there,
Mm-hmm.
For the next day or 2, I just walked around really angry. The guy is always asking me, "You good? Are you good? Are you good?" And I distanced myself from that because I had to,
Yeah.
for their benefit, should stuff pop off, then I need to be in the moment. And if I'm busy thinking about my own selfish means, then I think about me not wanting to die, and then what am I going to do to avoid dying? And that might be letting a buddy die.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that. In the 2 days to follow, I had time to let it kind of hit me, because we weren't going to patrol again for another 4 or 5 days, so I figured I got that time to get as emotional as I allow myself. So
Yeah, and I remember we were able to video chat a lot, the next following days and during our time in the NICU. And I was able to show you him and everything, even though we weren't doing anything special. I would just sit in the room and watch the baby and watch the monitor, and then I would feed the baby and continue to watch the monitor, every beep. And if it started beeping a little off, it made me so anxious. I remember taking that picture of the 3 of them on the chair and Luna holding the baby. That made me so happy. Picture. How did you feel seeing him?
I feel like the correct answer, well, my response should be, was yeah, I was thrilled. I mean, I wasn't really excited, but I don't know, I guess it's kind of numb.
Yeah.
Out there,
Do you feel like you were pretty numb while you were out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I wanted to know everything.
Right.
And you did a really good job of telling me everything.
Well, that's it for this birth story. Do you want to share anything else? I think we're done. It's pretty late. Thanks for joining us, and please comment below if you guys have any questions, like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you have any interest in seeing my future videos. And thanks for hanging out. See you guys next time. You're very handsome, did you know that?